Welcome everyone, Michael Farrar here from D-Sport Magazine, and thank you for joining us the day before Christmas Eve. And if you're out there and you're not getting all your shopping done, well, maybe you can do it now. Now we've got a couple items here that weren't showcased during our normal SEMA showcase that we had this year, the SEMA show that didn't happen showcase, and it was basically because the parts didn't arrive here in time. But they are some cool parts, and we wanted to make sure you guys got to see what they're about and ask any questions you might have. You may be familiar with XForce, company out of Australia that makes some exhaust systems. And their exhaust systems are a little bit different than anything else on the market, being that they have a variable sound output. It's controlled by a remote control. They also have a new Bluetooth interface, which we don't have here to demonstrate, but we can get into some of those details later. But essentially, you're able to make it louder or quieter just through the remote. And there's basically a valve in here that's remotely controlled to affect the sound of the output. It could be as quiet as a stock system or at its maximum to get the full performance and the full sound out of the system. So I can kind of show you here. Maybe we can get one of the cameras to come up and I can show you kind of a little bit how it works here. Let's see if I grab the right remote here. Here we go. All right, so if you look down in here, see if I got a flashlight, because I don't know if you'll be able to see it otherwise. All right, so flashlight down there, you see there's a butterfly valve. It's almost like a throttle valve on your engine, and you're able to actually control that with this remote. So you can put it in the fully closed position there. That's going to give you the quietest sound, and the open position there, that's going to give you the loudest sound there and the highest performance. And you can go pretty much anywhere in between there. As we kind of come out there, hopefully you guys got to see that. And this is the remote here that does it. And as I mentioned before, this is the controller box right here. This is the standard controller box that the Varix has been coming with for the past few years. They also have a new Bluetooth one that allows you to do the same type of control through your phone. And one of the cool features on that one, the guys were telling me, is that you can actually make it location specific. So if you want to make sure you always got it in the quiet mode when you're around home and your neighbors aren't going to complain, you can set it so in that GPS region there, in that location, it automatically goes to that. You can set it up when you're at the racetrack to make sure it's in the open position. It's a pretty cool little feature. And we talked about some active systems earlier in the year, like the Actuator one, which was quite sophisticated and quite a high dollar item. But the nice thing about these are definitely more affordable. Now the system we have that we're looking at right here, this is for the Subaru FRS and Subaru BRZ, Scion FRS, GT86 Toyota. And it's the catback system that we see here. I think we have a question.
Random question, is that a Starion behind you?
Yes, that is not too random a question, but this is our Starion project. That's Makiko's car, and it's in the process of getting some work done. We're hoping to get it all finished up and bring it out to the shootout this year. So hopefully, if you guys are out there, if you don't know about the shootout, make sure you join the page. We've got a group page there for the shootout. It's going to be it would have been its 29th year, but we're back to the 28th. Yeah, because it didn't happen this year. It should have been the 28th. It would have been the 29th, but we're just calling it the 28th because, COVID screwed us over for this year. So let me get into the specifics of the system here a little bit, and you can kind of get an idea of the quality of this. So all of the Varix systems by XForce, they're going to feature some really nice thick flanges, all TIG welding throughout. It's a thick wall, 304 stainless. It's very, very, very high quality. This isn't going to be an exhaust that you put on your car and is going to rot in a few months. It's going to probably outlast your car. The nice thing about flanges is it kind of locks in where your position is going to be and makes it easier to line up. But every car is a little bit different, and this is the nice feature here. So instead of using a flange on the actual tip, they do use a spring clamp And this allows you, depending on what rear bumper you have, maybe you don't have a factory rear bumper, maybe you have an aftermarket one, but you want to adjust it so it's in the right position. Well, you're able to do this. And the spring clamp here lets you do that. You can take this band clamp and just put it where you need to, lock it down, make sure your other one kind of lines up. You'd be kind of surprised how factory cars are and how things line up, and it's really nice to be able to have that flexibility when you're doing the install so that it actually will fit the vehicle. Now, overall weight and stuff, just to give you an idea, this is the XForce system for the BRZ, and it's just at a little bit, about 47.4 pounds, maybe 8 or so pounds heavier than the stock system, but like I said, it's thicker wall. When you want it to be quiet, it's going to be quieter than the stock system. When you want it to be loud, hit the switch and there you go. Yes?
Are there only 2 levels of adjustment?
No, there's not only 2 levels of adjustment. If you guys were watching a little bit earlier, there's an A and a B button, and between those two, you can basically click them. If you hold it down the whole way, it'll go to that full position, but if you just tap on it, it's incrementally opening up. And I think it's every 20%. I think there's 5 positions there in between. So you can really kind of adjust it for what you kind of prefer. You know, some systems and stuff on certain vehicles, they have a lot of drone and stuff like that, and you can avoid any kind of thing like that because you're able to adjust it in this sense. So it works out pretty well there. Any other questions on the Subaru specific? Yes?
Is there any performance gain from the system?
Yes, yes. We haven't tested this specific system yet, but we have tested the system on the, let's see, their STI system, I believe we did. We'll put a link down here for that, and maybe it'll just be in the description or something, and you can click on that and go and see. If you're not already a member on our YouTube channel, make sure you join so that you can get all these videos, but we have some videos there of, I think, every single exhaust system pretty much ever made for the STI tested on there. And we've got dynos, we've got before and after sounds. We've done that for a few different applications. We did it for the FRS BRZ, I believe, but the problem was at the time this system wasn't available. This is a new product, so we weren't able to test it. But yes, it's definitely going to add some performance to it too. And you know, depending on how close you are in your region, how what's the word, how lenient the local law enforcement is. This could be a real ticket saver. I mean, it could pay for itself in what you save on tickets if you set it up properly. So I think we're done with this one, and I'm just going to disconnect our power to this one, and we're going to get the next one in here and kind of go over that. All right, put that down, and let me take my notes so I don't forget everything. All right, go ahead. All right, so as they're moving that one out, we are, let's see here. All right, where do you want me, guys? Here? There? Here? Okay, perfect. All right, we're going to bring up our next system here. Now, Korean performance vehicles. You know, there was no such thing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, no matter what anybody will tell you. You know, there wasn't much support for the vehicles. There wasn't much to get excited about. And then we kind of seen some new stuff coming out. You know, we had the Veloster N, the Forte GT with the manual shift. I mean, they've definitely got some platforms now that could really benefit from some performance parts. We'll get more into our Forte GT project and what we're doing with that. But needless to say, we're taking that car, and for $3,500 in upgrades, we're going to see if we can make it faster than a Civic Type R. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Go ahead.
Will there be any exhaust kits like this developed for the R32 GTR? I am late to this video.
Ah, good question. I'm pretty sure they do make a application for 32, 33 GTR. We'll look that up right now and let you know. They are based in Australia, and the fact that, you know, there are so many 32, 33, 34 GTRs down in Australia, it is pretty likely that they have it. You know, it's a patented system that they use. The Varic system is patented. I think they hold 3 or 4 patents for what it can do. And it's nice because you're essentially getting a multitude of exhaust systems on your car, and you can kind of pick what you need based on the situation, rather than being stuck with a loud racing exhaust when you're going through your neighborhood, or a stock system when you're at the racetrack.
They do make one.
They do make one. So yes, they do make for the 32 and the 33?
Yeah, it just says RB26.
RB26.
32 GTR.
Okay.
3.5 inch.
3.5 inch. They make a 3.5 inch system for that, and you have the variable control on the sound on that. The controller and stuff I showed you before on the BRZ FRS, same thing. It uses the same type of controller. It plugs in here. You've got the actuator here. That's the actual motor that's controlling that throttle plate in there. And internally here, we've got different paths for the flow to go around, and a path is taken where there's more baffling and sound deadening in there when it's in that closed mode versus the open mode where it's really free flowing in there and trying to give you the highest level of performance. Now, one of the unique features on the Veloster N is the choice of tips. We saw the burnt titanium tip on the first system we looked at, that BRZ FRS, and in this we have your standard chrome, and then I would call it like a black chrome finish. You still got reflectivity there, but it's a black one instead of your standard chrome. So two different looks there. A lot of the Veloster Ns and stuff with the trim and stuff like that, they look pretty nice if you can black out the exhaust tip on there. Again, following the same line of construction, we've got thick stainless steel tubing, thick flanges, 304 stainless. In this case, I believe there's just one pipe here that has kind of a alignment spring clamp, but then we also use those band clamps to align the tips. So if you do have an aftermarket bumper, again, you can really get that adjustment just right with what you've got going on. And the nice thing is, if you needed to go even further in because the bumper changed, you could just cut this off and move everything in even further, all the way up to the weld there. So it was nice how they made it just on a straight piece there. And then of course you can rotate it up and down, get your tip angle, everything kind of dialed in for that. So it'll use all the factory hanger positions that you already have on there to position everything. And when you're installing these, one of the things, with any aftermarket exhaust, one of the things you can do when you're installing them is put everything up on the hangers, put the bolts through everything, put your gaskets, just very, very, very loose so everything can kind of bounce around, and then have somebody fix what you want the rear to look like. Get your clearances right on the rear, and then work from the front to the back, tightening each section at a time. And at the end of the day, you'll end up with everything just positioned perfectly if you follow that. Do we have any questions about the system here just for the Veloster N? Any specific questions about that? Okay, again, just like the other systems, completely variable positions that you can deliver with it. You can choose different ones there, and I'll just get you the weight difference here. So this one is about, it's about 12 pounds, a little bit 12 pounds heavier than the factory system. Like I said, it's not just the actuator and stuff. This stuff is built strong. I mean, this is probably the thickest tubing I've ever seen on an aftermarket application. And so you've got plenty of material here, especially if you live in an area where they salt the roads and stuff like that. Even stainless kind of gets beat up, but you've got enough wall thickness here that you're not going to have that problem. And the thicker walls also help bring down some of the higher frequency tones you get with thin wall. Yes?
How much do these exhausts run?
All right, so do we have that? I think we do.
That one's about close 800, just under $800.
Just under 800 for the Veloster N? So just under...
For that one. The other's a little cheaper.
Okay, the BRZ FRS one. All right, we'll get you the price on the BRZ FRS in just a second, but this one's just under about 800 retail. And if you are interested, you probably want to get them quickly because for whatever reason, the US dollar's been kind of tanking it recently. And one of the reasons why these are priced so good was because of the exchange rate before. And the other system's around 5 and change?
500,
yeah.
Just under 500.
Oh, are you sure? That sounds low.
85 from MA Performance.
Okay. So the other system around $500 for the BRZ FRS. Definitely take a look at that. we're just going off the website pricing here, so that may not be correct. Unfortunately, we did not get that from them, but double check on that. And let's get to our last system here. We already kind of mentioned the application before with the Civic Type R. And Civic Type R, we can go ahead and clear this. Civic Type R, as you know, very popular platform out there. And you know, one of the things that a lot of people talk about is the exhaust note, is the exhaust tone on that car. And if I remember right, we did test a number of, didn't we do a Type R exhaust shootout?
We did not. We did a Civic SI.
Ah, Civic SI we did. Okay, it was a Civic SI. Again, if you haven't already seen that, definitely go to our YouTube channel. We've got all of those videos on there, so make sure you can review those. And you know, every system is going to be a bit different, but at least from the manufacturer, you can kind of get an idea of the tone and what they go for. You know, whether it's really raspy or more mellow, and you can kind of get a feel for that. But you know, here we go. This is the Type R system, the Varick system from XForce, and just like the factory, they also went with the 3 exhaust outlets. And this isn't the finished look, but it gives you an idea of it. The finishers are right here, so your tips, again, adjustable, which is really nice if you have an aftermarket rear bumper on there and you just want to get everything lined up really nice. You can do that. So all 3 of those are adjustable. Get that dialed in. Again, we've got the actuator on this side this time. Works in the same fashion as the others. Multiple positions you can set that to. From its closed position where you're going to get the quietest sound output to the open position where you're going to get the loudest. And 5 positions in between those 2. Or at least 5 that we know of. We went and cycled through it. The remote, again, just that simple 2-button remote that we saw earlier. And yeah, works pretty well. Now, they also make one other part for the Civic Type R, and that is the catted downpipe. So this thing's a monster. So right here, this is the catted downpipe. They went as big as you could physically go there. And how do you know it's as big as you can go? Well, because they actually had to cast this in here. So this is all one-piece casting. And the reason why they do that is to just get the right fitment and get the maximum size in here that they can. So that casting goes right to their high-performance, high-flow cat and to a standard elbow out to your flange. So pretty nice piece here. And you can put the factory heat shield over it with those connections there. And you know, I know in years past, going to an aftermarket cat, they just weren't all that good. That's completely changed. The aftermarket cats that are out there nowadays, it doesn't make much sense to leave them off the car anymore. You've got some high-flow cats out there, and you can really get all the performance that you would even without the cat. Yes?
Quest, do a walk around the 33.
Do a walk around. Okay, we can do that. It'll be a dusty and dirty walk around, but we will do that for you in just a second. All right, let's see. Make sure I showed you everything we got here. Incorporating a resonator in these, incorporating the flexible unions here so that it allows for the growth and contraction as the exhaust gets heated and comes back down. If there's one thing I can tell you about these exhausts is they're, like I said before, it's going to last the lifetime of the vehicle. So if you want to invest in something that you can have for a long time because you're going to keep your car for a long time, the XForce systems are definitely worth a look at, and having that Varick's control on there will let you get the different sound levels if that's what you need to do because of the environment you live in. We had an R35 GTR leave here not too long ago, and he had a, I forgot what system it was, but it also had some active control on it. And I'm like, do you like that? He's like, that thing has saved me hundreds of dollars in exhaust tickets. He's all, I love it. So yeah, depending on where you live, and if you're in an area where, you know, an organization like, you know, CHP or something like that, you know, is harassing you, this could definitely be a godsend for you. So something to consider. Any other questions before we take a walk around to my extremely dirty R33? All right, let's go see the R33 then. All right, and I don't know if you guys can hear me okay. We're probably just going to stick here. Am I there? Okay. So we're on this camera here. I could tell you a little bit about the car, and we're going to do more on this car because, as you guys know out there, a lot of people are getting R33s, R32s right now, bringing them into the States, bringing in R34s, and registering them in different, you know, states, getting them through Canada, whatever. It's kind of, you know, the car everybody wishes they could have had years ago, and now they finally have the money to get them, so they're buying them. Now ours is a little bit different. We've had this car since 2001. This was the first GTR imported into the US and federalized and went through California EPA and all that good stuff. There used to be a company around called MotorX that was doing that, and yeah, it's I think one of only like 30 GTRs you'll find that has that little thing there. I'm not going to give you all the numbers, but you get an idea of what we got there. But as you can see, you know, what we've done with this car is we've owned the car so long that we've kind of had it in every state of tune. When we first got the car, we just wanted to do bolt-ons, you know, stock turbo, stock engine, what could we get? And we built it up from there, and then we upgraded, you know, this part and that part. And we went from, you know, 280 horsepower to 320 to 440 to 500 horsepower to 600 to 7 to 8, 9, 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300. And all along the way, we've learned where the weak links are, what you need to do on these cars. And has somebody got a question? Or is somebody just hitting that thing over there? Oh, okay. Anyway, sorry about that. And yeah, I mean, we've come to know a lot about these cars, and we haven't built this car to be, you know, a one-run wonder that just goes out there and, you know, grenades an engine every pass. This is designed to be, you know, if the laws in California allowed us, we'd be driving this thing every day on the street. It's very streetable. It still maintains everything we can possibly maintain on it. And when we run it like a street car. It's on these radial tires that we have on here, on the Nitto radial tires, just the ones we see sitting here. We run it through the full exhaust system. We've got a Kakimoto, I think it's a 90 millimeter titanium exhaust system on it. We run pump E85 on it. So there's nothing stupid on this car. Now, what are stupid things you could do to your GTR? Well, I don't want to get into all of that and cause too much controversy, but things like aluminum rods, like RB30 engines, like automatic transmissions, you know, those things do not belong in a 32, 33, or 34 GTR. That's, you know, that's just a fact. Yes?
Are those the same turbos you've always been running?
Yes, yes, that's an interesting thing. You know, one of the things that we did on this car initially was like, what can we put on the car that we're not going to replace? You know, what can I buy a turbo kit that I'll grow into? Can I, you know, buy injectors that'll be big enough for the life of the engine? And that's how we kind of did it. Now, of course, we ended up going beyond the size injectors we needed initially. We had, I think, the 160 pound per hour injectors, and now we've got the I think we've got the ID or fuel injector clinic, you know, the 2000s or 2200s. Those are in there now. And to kind of take it to the next stage, we're actually going to go to a 12 injector setup. So yeah, these turbos have been with us forever. These are the IHI turbos that they were used on the Honda Formula One engines back in the 80s. And it's that same turbo, except Apex put it together as a kit way back in the days, and I got one back then, and I've played with changing the turbine housing sizes and kind of growing it up, and I actually changed the compressor side on one point, but same manifolds I've always had. Yeah, it's been pretty killer. And what we're going to do, since none of that's available anymore, we're actually going to be offering something that's not in the market right now. Right now, I haven't seen it, at least. I haven't seen a good twin turbo top mount setup for big horsepower on an RB that fits in the 32, 33, 34 chassis. So we're going to kind of take this arrangement, this layout, try to make it even better. I mean, this isn't the original Apex stuff. We changed a lot of it to make the fitment even better on the turbo side. Fitment even better. But the new one, we're looking at some of the other turbos that are out there, and I think we're going to try something a little different and see what we can do with it. So we'll be putting some bigger turbos on there, and it should allow us to hopefully get to the 1,600 horsepower level. Yes?
Why did you say twin turbo?
Why do you stay well, it came twin turbo. Why would I take it off? No. Okay, so twin or single on an RB, that's a really good question. If you are going to go to a single, hands down, go to a twin scroll. Do not do a single scroll turbo if you're going single turbo on the RB. Definitely twin scroll is the way to go. You want a manifold with a divided inlet. And why did I go to a twin? Well, at the time, there wasn't a single turbo kit available that made the same horsepower as the twins. There just wasn't anything that massive that anybody dared put on the engine back then. Now, nowadays, are you better off with a single or a twin? I don't know. I kind of really like the sound you get. You get a different sound with the twin. I mean, I don't even know why I just said that, because now I'm just thinking of that company that makes that stupid thing to make a turbo whistle. But anyways, I'm not talking about a T51 whistle thing that they make. But anyways, yeah, so I went with twin because at the time that was the biggest I could go with. Why am I sticking with twin, I guess, is a better question. You do have some advantages with the twin. You are able to get a little bit more response. And I don't know, I think, yeah, I don't know exactly why besides that, but you know, it's a little bit better response from the twins, and I'm probably just going to keep it that way for the time being. Yes?
How much was your Hypertune manifold?
Oh gosh, I got that Hypertune manifold a while back, and it's probably cheaper today than it was when I got it. I want to say, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of around $1,800 or something before we did the anodizing and all that kind of stuff. And that's been great. You know, it's worked well for us. We're gonna, you know, for no other reasons than we just want to try it out. We are gonna, when we refresh the engine, we're gonna try out the Plasma Man manifold, which is a little bit different in that it's a direct-to-head fitment. So instead of having the factory adapter plate that's in there that goes between what would have been the throttle bodies and the head, there's a plate normally there, it'll actually bolt straight to the head. So we're going to try that out, and that'll be in a 12-injector setup. So that'll be one of the changes that we're making as we refresh the car for the 2021 season.
Another question?
Yes?
Does your oiling system have any upgrades, pump, larger sump, question mark?
Yes, yes. It has all the upgrades we can give it, and I think we're pretty much, I don't know, we've pretty much reached the limit, I think, of what we can accomplish with the wet sump system. So if I was more stubborn and it wasn't so hard to pull this thing in and out, I might try a few more things to make it work better. But I think we've kind of gotten to the point, and I think anybody who's pretty much over 1,000 horsepower should seriously consider you know, going to an external oil pump and probably a dry sump system. There are some things you can do externally, which we might be playing with to see if we can put together a kit for an external that would still use the factory oil pan, so you don't have to mount the reservoir tank for it. Yes?
Who did your tuning?
I did my tune. Yeah, I do all the tuning on this car and any other car that I've owned. I kind of got started in tuning back in the early days. Nobody knew how to make the Excel DFI run on a Honda back in the days. And if you called tech support there, they would tell you to cut off a GM 4-cylinder distributor and weld it on and do all this funky stuff, which I knew was wrong. But we figured that out back in the days and got Hondas running on the DFI back then. And ever since then, I've had experience with the Excel DFI and then Electromotive, Haltech, early Haltechs, Motec, AEM Infinity, just about almost all of them out there. Yes?
Can you start the car?
I don't know if it's charged up. I guess we could try. Let's see here. Go back here, turn the switch on. It might start. Might not. Might need the booster pack. Let's see here. Yeah, we're going to need the booster pack. So see if we can put a booster pack on here. All right. Yes?
Best tune on Cobb for 35.
What does that mean, best tune on Cobb for 35? I don't know. If you're talking about buying somebody's e-tune, I'm not a fan of e-tuning at all. I guess I would find it only acceptable if you were getting a complete package of the exact parts that you were supposed to use and somebody had a tune for that, and putting that on your car. Yeah, that's probably fine to do, but I mean, I've seen people getting e-tunes on completely new setups, new fuel systems, new engines, and usually losing engines as a result. So we'll see if we've, are you in the right mode back there?
Yes.
All right, let's see here. I don't think it's in the right mode. You have to put it in the manual mode.
Yeah, it's in the manual.
Is it?
Yeah, the one that...
Did John use it all up? So was that a trick question if we could start the car? You got it in this mode?
Yeah,
No, that's not it. Over here.
Oh.
Where'd it go? Is it this one? Oh, fuck. I can't see my eyeballs.
Any plans to go back and beat your personal best of 893?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be doing that this year. We'll have the car at the shootout where we plan to do that. All right, have that. The Charger's pretty dead, but we're going to give it one last hurrah here. See if we can get this thing to fire up. But it may not even have fuel in it. Oh. There we go. All right. So we'll keep it on the Charger next time. Yeah, actually some of the other stuff that we've done to give you kind of a little bit of insight here. That's the battery charger we should have had plugged in that we didn't. But no, you can see here in the rear, we do have what we call a push nitrous system, which is kind of unique. The bottles need to be filled up and stuff. But essentially what it does is it doesn't rely on the bottle pressure itself to supply the nitrous. Instead, it uses an external air supply there that actually gets pushed into the system here, so it makes sure that the only nitrous going through the system is liquid nitrous. And basically, it lets you use 9.5 of the 10 pounds you have in here. It keeps the pressure constant, and it's just one way to basically make the nitrous more and more dependable and repeatable, I should say. So if you're getting a 120 shot at the beginning of your run, you're not getting a 90 shot at the end of your run because your bottle's getting cold, which is what happens if you don't have a push system. What's that? My lights? Oh, okay. Pop this down. All right. So, any questions? Oh, okay, yes.
Who's starring on this?
It's Makiko Starion. She's the one over there. She's hiding. But this Starion here, what we're doing with it, the same thing to do with a Starion is to put a 4G63 in it, or to swap pretty much anything else in it. That's the same thing to do. The 4G54 is the cylinder head and the intake system on it, and the ECU is it's as bad as you can get. And the problem was this is literally Japan's first turbocharged electronic fuel injection vehicle. And anytime you do it the first time, you're going to get some things wrong. And at the time, Mitsubishi got it all wrong. But what we wanted to do is seeing if, with the technology that's out there today, if we could actually take the 4G54B engine and make it into something respectable. And we're actually in the process of doing that and getting some really good gains. The block itself is actually pretty dang good. So it's really the head that needs a lot of the work and stuff, but I think we've done a lot of development with that head, and should be doing some cool stuff with that. So hopefully we'll have this at the shootout. This will be making 500-600 horsepower, and Makiko will be drag racing that, hopefully. Hopefully we'll have this car, that car, I think also at the shootout. You could see it out there maybe. Sam's car's out there, the Evo, which, yeah, he just got the new Precision Turbo on there. Morrison Fabrication, Morrison Fabrication exhaust manifold, turbo header on there, and got the intercooler plumbed up and stuff like that. So we still got a little bit of stuff to do on there, some sensors to add. We're looking into transmission options. Want to get something that's going to not explode. And so I think we've got something in the works there that should work. And yeah, so that'll be another car. So hopefully those 3 cars and maybe a few more of the 32, 33s, and 34s that we've put together will meet us out there. If you guys have those cars, it would be great to get, you guys from that community, even if you're not going to go out there to race, just to hang out and meet everybody else in the 32, 33, 34 community. The event itself, I mean, its roots, the shootout, it's from the DSM guys. And, I still have Project Time Bomb over there from back in the days. And, I mean, if it wasn't for being part of that DSM movement early on, I wouldn't know half of what I know today. The cars were amazing and continue to be amazing, and I love all the people that are still coming out to the event and bringing those cars and that whole community. It's a great bunch of people. So yeah, we're stoked to be able to get out there every year and hang out with them. So it would be great if we could also bring out Project Talon, but probably not going to happen this year. We have the engine; it's been ready forever, but the car itself needs a lot of work. Any other questions out there? All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. Again, why we started all this, XForce, they've got 3 new exhaust systems out there. Veloster N, the Civic Si, and the Subaru BRZ.
Type R.
Oh, sorry. Civic Type R and the Subaru BRZ, that's it, BRZ. All right, so they have you covered in those with the Varix control, which we demonstrated. So definitely check them out, high quality exhausts available from them. And we'll be back in just a few minutes. We got another exhaust piece that we want to talk about. And if you are an R32, 33, 34 fan, you probably want to not go too far away because we'll probably be back in about 5 minutes with that.